So this is Cinder and Carla. She's doing an FH. That's what she's training for. There's 2 lines because we need one short line for learning dogs, but yet for the FH we need the long line because Carla's learning how to handle the line. So something to do with dogs when you're working with multiple dogs. Just really always slow down, think about what you're doing, what you want to work on with that dog, and then that way you always have the right equipment. And that doesn't matter if it's for tracking, for obedience, for protection. Like for obedience, you should have all your food, your toy, everything you need. For tracking, same thing. Same for protection. If you say, oh, it's in the car, or it's not there, that doesn't help you, right? So this dog has tremendous drive for the track. She loves tracking, and Carla's doing a really great job. So with this dog, we're putting the line right under the belly because that gives the most control. And this dog loves tracking, so you see, okay. So she's already done the first part because she went out 15 paces and then we realized she had the wrong line on her. So you really work on keeping that line steady. And you see that she just about wants to go down? Okay, go with her. Okay, she just about wants to go down because the tension is a little bit too tight. Okay? This track has aged probably an hour and a half, you think? So it's a hard track for this dog. And I also laid it in an area, there's pretty heavy traffic on this part of the field. Like I see other people tracking here, I see lots of people play frisbee with their dogs, do all sorts of stuff. So there's an article that she'll be coming to right away. Trying to fit both Carla and the dog in. So we want that dog to lay and look at that article. If she turns and looks at Carla, then Carla stops. We want that dog to focus on that article. So the dog looks at the handler because they want the handler to hurry up and get to them. So in tracking, you can never be in a hurry. Never, ever, ever. Good job, Carla. So what Carla did is used patience and waited the dog out for the dog to offer the correct behavior. So what we want is when this dog comes to an article, we want her to put her head on the ground and stare at that article. That's what we're working for, because that's what we want for FH. So what they want for an FH dog is much, much higher than what they want for a Schutzen dog, because it's much harder. They don't have to do that, but you have better results if you train the dog. So see, she stands on the line so the dog can't jump forward. The dog's off and running. Carla's. So Carla, I have a corner pretty soon. And I think she might be on it. Yeah, she is. So see how she's keeping the line steady? There's still a bit of tension to it. There's a piece of garbage there, so I deliberately went past the garbage before I put the article. And you'll see this time it'll go faster with the head down. So it was really hard for her also because she was looking at me and my voice last time. If I was behind the dog, it'd be easier for her. So this is the same length of time that Kuda tracked for. But see the difference? It seems longer, doesn't it?
Yes.
But it's not 7:38. But see how nice and flat she's going? See how easier it goes?
Mm-hmm.
So see how Carla drops the food? With minimal body language. So the dog, because if you use body language, the dog, or movement, much movement, the dog will look at the movement. So that's why I get the handler to be as still as possible and just drop the food.
Okay.
It just makes it easier for the dog. And Carla, you can pat her nicely along her back and tell her, good girl. And off she's off. So you don't, a judge might take half a point for the dog taking off early. But like I said, a dog wanting to track is a good problem to have compared to a dog not wanting to track, yes. Right? So she just loves tracking. I think I have a corner right away, but I don't know. Follow the dog. I think I went further. I did. So one reason I'm not using flags laying the track is so that Carla can get used to experiencing what it will be like on an actual trial, right? If I have the flags out with the corners marked and where the articles are, then Carla doesn't really learn because she will start relying on these flags. So then come trial day, when there's no flags out there, she's not going to be prepared to trial, because it'll go, oh no, I don't know where a corner is. But this way, with no flags, she's learning to read the dog with the dog's behavior. She's starting to see when a dog's on a track and not on the track. And she's also learning to trust the dog, right? Mm-hmm. And so in tracking, you gotta trust the dog. They can smell the track, you can't.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you've never learned to handle the line, at the end you have a really hard time trusting that dog and reading the behavior of the dog. And so when we teach the tracking, when we're very close to the dog, that's a lot of comfort for the dog. Now when you're 33 feet away, the dog is pretty much operating on his own. So your only connection is that line. And that's why you have to keep the tension steady. If the line is loose, the dog is pretty much on its own, right?
Yes.
So in correction, the correction is a tight line. Now you need a steady line for tracking, but if a dog makes a mistake, you make the line tight. So there's a big difference between steady and tight. And you learn that the only way you can learn that is experience. So she just made a corner. Do you see that?
Yeah.
And see what Carla does is she runs around. Well, you're supposed to walk as fast as you can, smooth, and at all times keep that line
The same
steady. Right? So this time I went, I think, 30, 40 paces and then an article. She's just about at the article. So this track I laid for her is a length of a IPO 3 track. Or Schutzen 3. There's an article. See how she waits. The dog puts her head down. She moves forward. The dog looks at her, she stops, puts her head down, click, move forward. And this is really good because Carla's on her own. She doesn't know where the corners are or
No.
where the articles are.
You can't see the track at all.
No,
or the
can't
food.
see the track at all. But Cinder's a really good tracker. So she's a good dog to learn handling on. So it's already 13 minutes.
That would be tiring for the dog.
It is like that's why I said the first place you'll see the condition of the dog, the mental and physical, is on the track. Because tracking is so hard mentally on that dog. They're working all the time. And if you think about it, they're fighting. We want to have a steady line, so what does that mean? It means that they are constantly fighting against that line,
Against tension.
right?
Yeah.
So I have another corner, right? She just took the corner. See, and Carla sees, she goes, oh, was that a corner? Yeah, that was a corner.
Yeah.
But beautiful corner.
Yes.
And see, I use that tuft of grass that's right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
That's my marker. It's a little taller grass than everything else around there, so that's where I need to make my corner. There she is. She's so stubborn. But see, it's good too because by not being in a rush to get to the articles, the dog's actually getting a rest at the article where we're training, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that she's learning to calm out, that these articles are really, really great things, because if she can find an article, she gets food, she gets heavy reward, she gets pets, she gets to rest, all of these things, right?
Yes.
So the most important in tracking is to get value on these articles, because the articles are what, in Schutzen tracking, what the dog's looking for. It's all graded on the articles. Each article is 7 points. in Schutz and tracking. So if a dog walks over, say on the 1 and 2, 3 articles, you've just lost 21 points.
Yeah.
You need 70 points to pass. So articles are pretty important. So now I went 40 steps and then another article. No food. But you see with Cinder, you can't tell where there's a food drop and where there's no food, can you?
No.
So it's all consistent. And
Same
so
pace.
that is what you're working for in tracking. You want to see everything the exact same. So she's checking out stuff, but there's no food there. I used no food till the next article, which she's just about on. There she is. So a fundamental rule in tracking is you gotta know where your articles are, the track layer, and you gotta know where your corners are. So even without flags, you need to be able to read the terrain and use what's out there so you know. So what do you think I used? How do I know what the article was? If you look by her, there's that green grass, right?
Yeah.
Taller than everything else.
Yeah.
And it's a little different color. So then we left the tag, that's the end of the track, right?
Okay.
Because see, there's my start flag.
Yes.
So that's why I said don't pull out the start flag. Carla, and that's the end. So walk out, tell her Platz. But tell her Platz and walk over here. Walk over here, tell her Platz. And watch her and make sure she plutzes and go over here. Get food ready in both hands. When you do the recall, you're going to feed her from both hands. She's already gone.
Yeah. She knew what was coming.
Okay, both hands. So the dog is more rewarded if you feed with both hands than one hand. So Carla has to get some obedience on this dog because she has to be able to report in with her. So this dog, she's not a Schutzen dog, but she'd make a super police dog. So the level of obedience she needs is a lot higher than a lot of dogs. And she's a little bit harder to work with, right? Because she's got really short nerves. But that's very nice. Okay, we're done.